Hello, everybody. Welcome back to SketchCraft Live. I'm Rob Duenas, and I've set the mood. I've set the mood tonight. If you can see, it's all around us. The colors, the feeling of being perhaps in the Death Star. Maybe the Disneyland version of it. Either way, I got Richard here, my buddy Rich, Darth Bradley here to talk about that Rogue One trailer that came out last week, which I didn't get a chance to talk about because I had to move. So, now that everything's settled down, we can sit here and we can just chat a little bit about this. Rich, you just watched that trailer right before I hit record.
Actually, I waited, and I was so glad I did, dude. I was brought to tears, and I had I had goosebumps the entire time, and never since Empire have I felt the kind of magic with the music. I mean, in some parts of Episode 7, but honestly, with this trailer, just this trailer, and the first one was good, but this one, the power in the music, the way it flowed with what they were showing you, I hope, because, that's what all rebellions need is hope, that the movie is that on point with the music to what you see visually, because if it is, it's going to be a powerful film.
Based on what you saw, what are the odds? What do you think? Let's say over 50%. You think we're going to get a nice scene where you expect some musical element and there's just some giant sound effect that plays over the music? like you see the Death Star and you're like, oh, I can't wait to hear the music, and then you're just like, whoa, 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 choo, choo, choo,
Yeah. You mean like, I don't know, Episode 3?
1, 2, and 3. Look, everyone's talked about this, right? I mean, people have broken down shot for shot, and you'll see, there's all sorts of Easter eggs and little really interesting compositions put into it, and you can freeze frame every frame. I just think, coming from you and myself, and folks, if you don't know Rich and I's history as fans of Star Wars, last winter I drew this Star Wars retro gaming piece and recorded the whole thing in real time. It was 70 hours worth of stuff, sped it up, and even at like 12, 13 times sped up or 15 times sped up, it was 3 hours long. So Rich and I talked about our history of Star Wars all the way up to The Force Awakens. So you should check that out. I'll hot link it when this video goes live in the archive. So, but I just think, man, like, you were stationed with me in Germany when the prequels came. So, hold on. When we grew up, right, like anything else, we grew up with Star Wars. It goes away. You and I are still fans of Star Wars. No one of our friends, I mean, some of our friends gave a shit, but not like you and me, right? Like, we sort of, we were like Donnie Yen, right? Like, we worshipped it, like, in a way. It was like, the Force is strong. And
I think that along that lines, I heard it said once that we are part of it. We came at the end, just at the end of it, but we are part of the generation that was kind of like not necessarily forced into Star Wars, but it was just part of our culture. Our growing
and it
up.
went away too. It went away for a while, and then with the special editions, and man, we bought into all of it. Like we were pro everything. We didn't care.
Yeah.
Iffy on the Jedi Rocks thing. I remember in the theater we were like, well, it's cool. It's not horrible. It's like, I guess. But so we hit Episode 1, and we were like, man, that was cool. I think by the time the DVD came out, you're like, there's parts of this I don't know.
I like
When the
I
not the
love
DVD
Ewan McGregor.
when the
I
videotape
love
came out, you were like, I don't know, man, you know. And then there's this scene here and this, and you know, it was like
yeah.
okay for you and I to go. Mm. And then we saw Attack of the Clones, and you saw the IMAX version. You didn't see the full version. You saw the IMAX. I took you to the IMAX version, which was 30 minutes less, or 15, 30 minutes less. And you were like, that was actually pretty fun. Then you saw the real version, and you're like, I want the other version back. Like,
Yep.
and
Pretty
then
much.
we didn't see episode 3 together, and someone had to pay me to go see it because I'd given up by then. But with the Force Awakens, it was a nice return as fans. Like it was like finally, you know, I can look forward to these things. I don't know what this final movie would be. I don't know if it's going to be a good movie or a bad movie. I know that when I look at this, you know, like when I see people covered in mud and dirt, you know, like, and I see like across. I love this idea of a cross between a spaceship and like a medieval dungeon. You know, like Jabba's palace when it's all in shadow, and you see these grills and these gates that are corrosive and covered in muck, and there's these, you know, fantasy like Tolkien creatures, and then they're guarded by, you know, space tech locks. You know, like that combination of the lights of the tech and the medieval fantasy. You know, and this feel, dude, man, like this. Man, it gets me giddy. You know, like it's just like this is what I was hoping the prequels would have looked like. You know, this is all digital, by the way.
Yeah, I know. That's what kills me is because the movie
The
itself,
shooting, not the locations, but you know,
well, yeah,
yeah.
but the way they're doing this film and the lighting and the way they've done the special effects, I don't know if it's because just with time, digital artists have become much, much better at making reality or making digital CGI stuff look real
Well, you
to
know,
life.
one of the things they did there was they when they were starting the production on episode 7 is they built at ILM they across the board because people were building a lot of their own little pieces, and so they
Yeah,
took an initiative to rebuild all the model pieces that were available to modelers at ILM when they used to just buy warehouses full of models. It's called kit bashing, where you take a bunch of model kits, you have a basic shape for the Millennium Falcon like cut out, and you take all these models and you glue a million pieces on there. That gives you that used universe look. So they took all the kits that were ever bought because they have the records and rebuilt all the pieces digitally so they could stack them like Legos
yeah,
as they build it. And it's across the whole company, so everyone has those access to those parts. And so now because the rendering technology is far, you know, powerful enough to render those many pieces, you can now actually build ships and models that have the level of detail that the models used to have.
yeah, yeah. Oh, you can see that in this too. I mean, and I mean it comes down to like in Empire Strikes Back when you see the AT-ATs, there's a level of just real world physical elements that are there that you don't get with CG. But honestly, I'm looking at the film, I'm like, did they build this fucking thing? I'm pardon my language, but did they build this thing? Like, did they build it? Are they really there? Because that's what it looks like. That's what it feels like, and that's the biggest important thing. Because when you watch episode 4, 5, and 6, and you're like, I don't know if you're like me, I kind of get nostalgic, and I like to watch the original. You know, I still have my original remastered, digitally mastered versions that are not special edition. It's pre-special edition VHSs.
I own them on PAL. You were there.
Yeah,
I,
and I like to watch those because they feel so magical. They feel like I'm looking at a friggin' unicorn, dude. And that's the feel that I got just watching. And I don't know, some people are gonna be like, "Oh, he's out of his friggin' mind," but honestly, that's what I feel when I watch both of these trailers for Rogue One. It just has that magic, and I don't know if it's because Vader's back. I don't know if it's because seeing like, you know,
well, I can tell you
like
what they're making movies. They're making these movies to further Star Wars stories. Like I hate to say because it's a Star Wars story, it sounds cliche. Versus making them to show off what special effects they can do to further
yeah,
ILM. Does that make any
yeah.
sense?
No, yeah, I know.
Like when those
It's
stormtroopers, when the opening shot of the trailer, the stormtroopers are in that field, right? And it's nice Kurosawa style shot. You know, it's pulled back, it's wide lens, and you got these row of stormtroopers, and you know Krennic or the Imperial guys in the center, and it's like that is not the same universe as episode one. Like, don't like, like like it's just. And episode one is the most like in terms of I feel location shooting and everything to the original three because he actually went
Yeah.
outside, and then there's tons of models and everything. But that shot, like that universe where he's all covered in, like he's a mud farmer. Like, what if like, and this isn't the case, but like, what if like Tatooine always had like 1 month where it rains, and that's where all the
Yeah.
water's going down at the, like, and just like it's just a mud hell. Like they never explore those environments enough. You
Well,
know,
but you got to look at the time period. Now they can probably do stuff like that, not just with
they
CG, but
had mud in 1999, Rich. Like,
they had mud in 1999.
yeah,
I'm talking about back in the 70s, dude. They didn't think that, that's that far outside the box. I mean, a lot of what they did was amazing with, in the beginning of Industrial Light and Magic, but as far as their movie magic, but there is certain things that they didn't think of back then that they think of now, and that's where the intelligent growth of movie making comes in. But when the one thing that I really loved about the whole trailer is I've read every version of the original like Star Wars script, Adventures of Starkiller, all that, and there was a scene in there with Deke Starkiller and his dad, and like when I read the script, that scene where he's standing there in that field with those stormtroopers and the girls duck down in the brush, that is literally like what I almost exactly what I envisioned
when
when
they're
I
hiding
see
from
when I hear this.
Vader.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
people
when they're
don't
hiding.
people don't know their initial, not the initial, like the fourth draft people found, but they eventually made a series out of this at Dark Horse, or the
Yep.
Adventures of Star Killer was the original premise for Star Wars. There's this whole opening sequence where Darth Vader was just like this hench guy, and he goes down. There's two brothers, Deke and Anakin, and their father, and it's a whole different scenario. But they're hiding out from Vader, and so yeah, I mean, when you see that's very makes you wonder, how much iconography,
Yeah.
they pulled from
Ex-
things that weren't used.
oh yeah. And,
And
and there's a lot of scenes that in there that remind me of old Ralph McQuarrie art. So bad, and just I mean and it's not a bad thing. It's a very nostalgic, very. It's part of what made me like literally start crying toward the end of the film. Between the music and the visuals, I was just like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this! This is the direction that they need to go." Even more, and I love Episode 7, but this is even more in the right direction, in my opinion, with what Disney's doing. I mean, there's some things about Episode 7 I could pick apart, but that's not what we're talking about. As far as Rogue One goes, I think it's like I don't want to. Like I said, I'm not trying to. When we did the whole Episode 1, 2, 3 thing, we soaked up every bit of information, like who the friggin' dolly operator was for what scene. Nobody
it
needs to
was
know that
sad.
fine kind of detail.
It's quite sad. I actually,
Nobody needs
so
to know
people know,
that.
like, one of the things I did was I wanted to get every bit of technical information I could on episode one when it came out. So I signed up for every. They used to have these things called magazines. I don't know if you people have heard of these things, but they used to actually take words and pictures and print them out and staple them together and put them on a shelf. You would buy them and read them. Without batteries. And so what I would
Paper.
do, yeah, what I would do is I would find every one of them that were trade related to graphics, software development, anything I could get, and I would sign up and just pretend I was a developer. I go, fucking so and so company, and get a bunch
Production
of these.
company.
Yeah, and I would get all these free subscriptions to these magazines just so I could collect any bit of Star Wars. Like if it wasn't Star Wars, I didn't care. Like I'd take them down to the library and drop them. But so so I would just get like stacks and stacks. I mean, from creative screenwriting I mean, there was soft homage books, man, soft
Yep.
homage. You know, so just because I wanted to know, I didn't know how to do it. I just wanted to know everything. Cinefx was the only one you couldn't get for free. You had to actually pay for it. But so yeah, dude. So like, you know, one of the things I've been showing you, Richard, there's a forum not a lot of people know about on Facebook. It's a closed group. I thought I might share this a little bit. I hope they don't get mad at me. But let's see here, desktop. So this is a group on Facebook called the Star Wars 3D and Physical Models group. It's a closed group. You have to be invited. I'm invited because I'm fucking cool. And it's a group of high-end modelers. A lot of these guys are actually in Hollywood, and they just recreate Star Wars stuff, man. 3D physical models. So one of them made the little chicken walker ATST from the Rogue One trailer.
Yep.
You can see
And it's
here.
really awesome. It's
Yeah, like
really
it's pretty fucking like these guys are making this stuff just for fun, man. Like
Have you seen the guy's snow speeder work? That the guy doing the snow speeder
yeah,
work,
we'll go
and he
scroll down
uses
right here. Check this one right. This physical one right here, where he's got little
yeah,
guys. He's in the middle of making.
yeah.
This
He's
is
got a
pretty,
little man in there, and he uses fiber optic cables to make the LEDs and everything in the screen and stuff inside the cockpit for the back work, like light up and everything.
yeah.
It's great.
This is pretty dope, dude. These guys are
But
doing. These guys make their own astromechs and shit. It's fucking
yep,
crazy. Like this is one of my favorite little forums to dig through and just to see what people are up to, man. Like, I mean, this is what people do when they come home, right? Like this guy over here's just making super star destroyers and shit, dude. Like, I mean, you could even fit the like this one right here actually fits the Slave One in the back where the trash
yep.
drop is, and the Falcons on the back. Like it's crazy, right? These guys are dope. Look, this guy's made the trench, the Death
Yeah,
Star
that guy was
trench.
working on the trench for
Yeah,
the New Hope run.
the Death Star trench, dude. There's just so many things. Like this is all CG. This X-wing right here. This is crazy.
Yeah,
It-
but you know that it's great to see that people are so like inspired still, and especially some of those guys. They do really great work. But that's the thing about Rogue One. That trailer is just it's absolutely amazing. I think it is. I don't know what everybody. I've seen reaction videos. I was just watching while we were talking, and people are just reactions very similar to mine. Some people are like whatever, but
Well, people
I
are
don't know.
always skeptical, right? No one wants
Yeah.
to be let down
Oh, I'm
anymore, right?
trying to be.
After the Star Wars prequels and the Matrix sequels and the Hobbit prequels and Pirates of the Caribbean's 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know how many they made. Um, everyone's afraid to like go, oh, I love this thing, and then they go and ruin it. So, but look, I'm a little bit more lenient with Star Wars now. Like, long as it's a used universe, people actually die and they shoot on location, and the writing is as good as Episode 4, which is not that difficult. Guys, it's not that difficult to do. I'll be a happy guy. Like
Yeah, but
I
it's not just the writing, though. I mean, you've got to look at the actors as
yeah,
well. I
well, the
mean,
performance. I
it,
mean, yeah, you
yeah,
can't
yeah,
have Natalie Portman just sitting there going like cleaning R2D2 and acting like a fucking moron. So, that's why I mean. But what I'm saying isn't difficult to do given the talent that they have access to. And it's at a studio where I mean, they're cranking out Doctor Strange films now of all fucking thing. And making that work. So they can make Star Wars work. There's a template for how to make it work, and then there's a template for how not to. So. Now is it going to be the world's greatest thing? I think it's fucking not better than this, or I don't think it should have made that much. I don't really care too much for the turning of films profits and how much money they made or how much people like them into like an ESPN environment. You know what I mean? Like this week, Star Wars made $30 million, and that's 0.7 million shy of the last one. I mean, what did they do? Are we in for a downturn? And then check to the news report anchor. Over to you. And then I don't know. And then they're doing the analog graphs. Showing all the fucking various movies and how they rate. And there's this giant. It's like anxiety for how well a film does. Like I don't care, man. Like I mean, I've worked in Star Wars merchandising, so and like licensed apparel and shit. And so when merchandise doesn't sell, that sucks. And yeah, you could lose your job, but I'm not gonna lose my job for I don't work on it anymore, so I don't care. Like I just want to go, and I just want to know: are they stealing my $20 or not?
yeah.
Am I getting hoodwinked? Like, are they shooting these films at 120 frames per second? Because I don't know if I want to see that. Um, but this is a digitally shot film, looks phenomenal. Like I think from
Yeah.
this point out, whether someone shoots one of these Star Wars films in film or digital, have at it.
Yep. As
Um,
long as they keep the quality up there, then I really don't care how they do it. That's the thing, though. But with Episode 1, the technology wasn't quite up to it. and it was apparent with,
No,
like
the
when
script
when Rick
wasn't up to it.
McCollum. Well, there's
The
not even the
script.
script, dude. It has nothing. The script doesn't have anything to do with the technological aspect of it. But like when Rick McCollum was like, we're sitting in the editing room, and Lucas comes in, George comes in, and he's like, I want to do more. I want this. And I want this. And he's like a little kid in a candy shop, dude. And he's like, I can see what computers can do. And the technology was not bad back then.
I
But,
need a little Kenny Rogers looking George Lucas puppet that I can pull
yeah.
up. Anytime you do it, I can just cut to the puppet. Like I need him right here. You know, when I created Star Wars, I gotta just have him ready, so I can just sit
Well,
back here,
that's what he did.
just
And
lean
Rick
into
McCollum was
frame.
like, the look on his face was like, he wanted us to do all this. And then at the end of episode, or before episode 2 ended, he was like, give me a digital Yoda. And they were like, how the hell are we going to do this? And it was like, these are the interviews. And he was just like, what the hell? And
Or you could just make a Yoda that looked like the one that you did
yeah,
the
a
last time.
really good puppet. A really good puppet. And do the filming right, not just long shots where you get, Yoda, Yoda, Dooku, yes,
But look,
jumping
we don't
around
know
like
if
he's
the
on
movie's gonna be good.
crack.
We don't know if this movie's good yet. We'll find out December 16th. But I find it almost impossible. Almost, because I can never say never. Almost impossible. Like 99% sure it cannot be a train wreck like the prequels. And there's a lot of people
Well,
who like the prequels. So if it's as
I
good as the
know.
prequels, a lot of those people will be happy.
Oh, and
So,
Buddy Harkin, he's always like, dude, why are you always bashing the prequels? And I break it down for him, and I'm just like, he's like, yeah, with this, and I'm like, dude, trust me.
because they made me feel about Star Wars the way Anakin felt about the Jedi. Like I just wanted to burn everything
Pretty
down,
much,
like,
yeah, pretty
kill all
freaking
the
much.
children. You know what I mean? Fuck everything. Like, get out. I
You
didn't
know,
even.
when
If you
people
had
say
told
Hayden
me,
Christensen wasn't that bad, but it's like, dude, he was horrible.
if you had told me in 1997 when we're at the special editions that by the time Episode 3 came out that I would not even pay to go see it, I wouldn't have. I mean,
Nope.
not that I wouldn't. You and I, we wouldn't believe that. But I mean, we wouldn't believe it on a fundamental way. Like if I told you right now that's not air you're breathing. Like, you think that's air? I mean, that's how like in deep I was.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
So
and I was right there with you. And you know what's funny about that? I did pay to go see episode 3
yeah,
because
you did.
I am I am that hardcore that I don't care. There are aspects about the prequel that are redeeming enough to count them. And the fact is you have to because they consider them canon. What I'm actually hoping for is that somebody says, let's just reboot the whole friggin' thing.
No, no, I don't want no more reboots. Let the prequels
I
be
do.
bad. Just let them go away. They're there. They're right there. They could be right there. Like just they're there, and we're done, and we're moving on.
They won't reboot, dude.
Like I just don't want.
They'll wait 20 years and reboot it. We'll be old and
Don't
be
need a
like,
reboot.
well,
Just tell a story that takes place around the same time, and just tell that story well, and we'll just. Those were shitty films. Like just sometimes, man. Sometimes you get a Star Wars book that has a great Drew Struzan cover, and it's called The Courtship of Princess Leia, and it's unfucking readable. But it had that really great
yep.
Struzan cover, and you're like, I'm just gonna set it on the shelf. Put
And
my
look at
Struzan,
it,
yeah, and
yeah.
look at that beautiful cover that Drew Struzan drew of Carrie
That is
Fisher.
a very good example, by the way. Very good example.
But
That is
I'm
a
never
great
going
cover
to
and
read.
a horrible story.
Yeah,
I
I've
read
never.
the whole thing.
Whoa.
Cover.
I got that book from the library, thinking, all right, because they were out at the Crown Book. There was Crown Books at the time. They were out at Crown Books, and I didn't want to wait, so I figured, well, I bought it anyway because I wanted the cover no matter what. Checked it out at the library. Guy, the third chapter gave up. Like I was like, this is unfucking readable. Like I cannot. It's the first time I was like, I can't read this. I mean, and folks, it wouldn't. I mean, I might be passive now. Like you might be like, I fucking hate episode 7. I'm like, well, I don't. So, but at that time, I was really like, I mean, I read Tales of the Jedi, which I still don't know what the fuck was going on in those comics. But they had great covers and the artwork was cool.
Yeah.
But
I
Courtship
feel
of
the same
Prince.
way about Chuck Wendig's Aftermath because it's a horrible book, and not the exact same way because it's unfortunate. The cover is shit too. So
I want to talk about the books in a second. But I want to stick to this point. So I think maybe once every month we probably should just do a general Star Wars cast between you and me, so we can just talk about all these random things. But to finish my point, like I put that down and I still went and bought the cover, you know. But damn, if that is a man, dude. Uh, that's one of the worst pieces of fiction I've ever read. It wasn't just a bad Star Wars book. That was just like, how did you? Someone got paid for this? It's that bad. The Minecraft books are better, way better. You should read those.
Nobody was screening who was getting book scripts in that day. They snuck it in.
You know what I would love to read? Off topic, a dedicated book series like this thick per book, like 2 inches thick, all about the '60s Batman universe. Like just Adam
Yeah.
West, like just tell long, deep stories about that stupid universe. But anyway, so look, everyone loves this trailer, most part. You just saw it. Glad to know you dig it. The music's amazing. I pray to God there's an actual movie there, and it's just not just. If it is a 2 hour version of Drive in space, where it's just a lot of music and people looking cool and doing cool things, I can live with it.
Yep.
I can live with that.
I think that with Star Wars, what it boils down to anymore, since from the time that we, were little kids and we were pretending to be Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, is we've gotten to a point now where because of the prequel trilogy, we're just like, give us something decent, and it's more than adequate.
Well, I'll tell you what is inadequate, where I do draw the line. Fucking video games. The video games are bad now, dude. Like the Star Wars video games, I think are at an all-time low. At an all-time
Yeah,
low.
I was waiting for 1313. That would, oh man.
I would kill for
Funny.
Dark Forces. Like, like if they were like, we're just Dark Forces is in VR.
I want them to
Here you
remake
go.
freaking, Jedi Academy. I want them to do a freaking remake for it. There's those guys doing that remake of KOTOR, and it looks amazing.
You want to hear a funny story? I didn't tell you this. So, I moved here about 3 weeks ago. I'm up in near Boise, so I go to the Walmart to pick up, whatever. And I'm going to the checkout line, and I look, and the guy's checking my stuff out. I look at his forearm, and he's got the Jedi Knight 3 Outcast tattoo, the JK lightsabers, right here on his forearm.
Right
And
on.
I was like, Jedi Knight Outcast. Like, I was like, dude. He's like, and I'm like, I played it forever. That's the best lightsaber combat ever made. That wasn't
Dude,
like God of War style shit. It actually did. Remember that game Obi-Wan they were working on? Like, you're gonna use the mouse to control the lightsaber, and it
And then
didn't
they
do-
fuck it up. Yeah,
No.
and they fucked it up, and they tried to put it in that game. Yeah, Jedi Knight Academy is even better, and I still play it. It's like $5 on Steam too.
Yeah, everyone agrees that Battlefront sucks. They should just
No.
reskin Battlefield 1 with Star Wars guys. Like, like just reskin it,
There was
and I'll play
They
that.
shut down a project. They shut down a guy's project. They were doing something very similar to that. They were actually building from the ground up a Battle 1 Star Wars, and they just totally shut them down. So EA did. It was you got to be careful when you're messing with Star Wars, with the IP that is Star Wars, because it's like the mega super, danger. It's like
Bro, you
fucking-
and I were modifying Dark Forces files so that it would look like Bespin. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Back in the day, where like you could remember when you pixeled the fucking lightsaber and it would replace the hit command, so you would just have to hit a guy repeatedly with the lightsaber. But it was like, I got a lightsaber in the game. It was the first time we opened up a map maker, and I was like, what the fuck is? They look like the Death Star plans. I didn't understand that. Map editors were just like wireframe GUIs. Like I didn't understand at the time.
There was no Gorad shaded back then. way, way, way back then.
Yeah, this is pre Half-Life. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and then I was looking forward to this game that was supposed to come out where it was gonna be like Diablo, but it was Star Wars. I think it was called Uprising. That fucking thing sucked.
Yeah.
Star Wars games suck now. Like they're bad. Like they're. How is that possible, man?
You take a really great IP. Well, look, this is the thing. The Bounty Hunter game that was going to come out, 1313, that looked amazing. It looked fun.
Battlefront looked amazing, and then
So, you know what I want to do to play a good Star Wars game?
tokens.
I mod the shit out of Skyrim. I'm not even joking, dude. There's like Jedi. There's a thing to turn like the Mages Academy into a Jedi Academy. It's great. It turns the whole thing. It changes it all. There's like lightsabers and outfits and the races. You can be a, Iridoni or Zabrix.
I'd be
You
more
can
up
be.
for a Witcher 3 mod for Star Wars.
Well, either way, man. It's something that I was talking to a couple of guys that do a bunch of EMB stuff, and I was working on some textures. This is about 2.5 years back, and there was a guy who's like, "Yeah, I want to do some Star Wars modding," and so I gave him some models that I had worked on, and he used them in one of his mods, and they were just lightsaber and like animation mod. One of them was lightsabers and animations, is all it was. But there's a lot of people out there that want to do that really bad, and they're like, I don't know if you've ever played it, but there's a game called Company of Heroes, a really awesome RTS strategy game that has a lot
I
of
will
really
only
cool
play
aspects.
RTS games in VR. Like like
Yeah.
when
Well,
VR can handle an RTS where I can look on the battlefield and see little AT-ATs walking around me, I'll be in my room living there for a week. Like,
I mean,
but on
but
a
Company of
monitor,
Heroes is.
I don't do well with that StarCraft RTS thing. I
Oh,
don't.
this isn't like that though. Company Heroes is more like really badass chess. It's
If
really
it played like
badass
Final
chess.
Fantasy Tactics, I could get into it, but
You
they're
you
not
can do
making
so
that.
much stuff with you can do so many things. Like it's very intuitive the way that you adjust and move and the way you can do things with each unit. But the point is, there was a group of guys doing a complete Star Wars conversion for it, and I got on board with that too. And then it just, they stopped doing it, and it's unfortunate because the total conversion for these things like that would show that there is a possibility to have a great intellectual property turn into a beautiful game. And they're not doing these things because I have that what is it? Oh shit, Star Wars Galactic Empire Gold or whatever the hell it is. It's an RTS, and it's okay. It's fun, but it's literally just like every other RTS. Spam the button, make the units. That's it. There's no real strategy to it. It's kind of boring.
Look,
But
man,
the
I know a
point,
lot of people like the Star. Ash from the chat room says, wish it kept the sort of kit-based system from Battlefront 2. I hate that there's a million skins to buy, but few of them are aliens, and then everyone on each side can still use the same
yep.
weapons. Yeah, that sucks.
No, that's a good point too, because I mean, then you got. But if you don't have the same weapons, you get into balance issues. You know,
If the rebels get a Death Star, you get a Death Star. The rebels get a Death. Isn't that the whole
but
point, like, of Star Wars? Is that there's an imbalance? Matter
well,
of fact, I think
yeah.
even the prequels had a problem with that. It was imbalanced, So I don't know if it's like World War. It's like Battlefield One. There's an imbalance, right? Like
Yep.
there's some people like had a like the fucking the Belgians had no army and the Germans just felt like doing whatever they're going to do. So the Belgians, this is a true story. The Belgians broke their dams and flooded their entire country with ocean water to keep the Germans, and then
So
they
they would
couldn't
be
grow
like,
there.
whatever.
I think they still can't grow shit there from that.
Yep.
Like that's how fucked up World War I was. So
Well, it's like the same thing with German technology during the World War One and Two. They had better technology. When they had a machine gun nest with an MG-34, and we were like, "How we have an M1 Garand? How do we get past there?" And they were mowing guys down by the hundreds. 50 guys at a time. They were like, "Well, gee, how do we get past this?" There was an imbalance in technology. That is the entire point of a Star Wars game. For example, like Battlefront or Battlefield 2 or whatever.
I think
You have.
the thing is having um, checklists, tasks to meet to win the map. Like the Imperials should have a certain kind of amount of tasks to do, like take this out, destroy. And the Rebels should have like get here, get this unlocked, do this. You know what I mean? To let in this thing or to shut this thing down. Versus just like taking an area and trying to beat the Empire militarily, might for might.
versus
It shouldn't be
versus
that.
just kill everybody.
Yeah, it should be more like a quest. I don't know. Quest base isn't the quite objective base. You know what I
But
mean? Like,
Rob, that's team deathmatch, man. That's like legit business right there.
I'm not even a first-person shooter guy. You know me; I don't really do any of that. So, but I will probably be playing Battlefield 1 because I like the time travel. I want to wrap this up really quickly just by giving people an update on. If you haven't been following Addy1, Richard, do you know who Addy1 is?
Yes, I do. The
So,
wonderful, wonderful man making the well, basically making real special editions.
he's been making the real special editions for a long time. He did episode 4 in 2000. He completed that in 2007 and started Empire in 2007 2008, and he's almost done. and
And he's still gonna do Jedi.
yeah, you still got to do Jedi. I thought you guys might take a check. So this is his Facebook page, Star Wars Revisited Saga. He put up a comparison clip between the different things that he's been doing recently. So you guys can watch that. I don't want to get hit on YouTube from Star Wars clips. But you can see like he's been remaking the Wampa, like actually building things, like actually sculpting all this stuff. These are all the light fixtures for the Rebel base that he did. You know, they actually got a 3D printer, made them all, and then like this is the actual Hoth base. This is so he can replace the matte paintings, so they look exactly like the Macquarie paintings, but that they'll be 3-dimensional, and they're all
And they'll
physical
be,
models.
yeah,
Yeah, this is pretty
they're
good.
awesome too. It you know, it's he's doing a really good job with that, taking all the blue out of the whole film and you know, adjusting
Oh, he
lighting
fixed
and the overall.
the collar
Yeah.
that because like Han Solo's collar's off here and compared to the Jabba one, so that he actually this was crazy. Like this is actually in his apartment. They did the mold, and they actually got an actual cast of Harrison Ford, and then he went and rebuilt this fucking like this is his lighting right
Yeah.
here, just lighting it physically. So like if you guys haven't followed his work, just to see what a dedicated set of people can do over a long ass period of time, it's pretty fucking impressive, dude. Like all these models exist, and I've contributed financially to this over the years, quite a bit actually. I took all the money at one point that I'd not spent on Star Wars due to the prequels
And put
sucking
it
so
into
much, and I just gave it to him. Like, like I did. I was like, just here's the money I would have spent and go make stuff, you know. And before there was even a Kickstarter.
I don't think I've contributed that much, but I have contributed to him.
And
He's
even just
pretty cool.
moral support, because sometimes the guy gets shit on for no reason. You're taking forever. I'm like, it's free. Shut up. So
Yeah, pretty
he
much.
he put an Easter egg on the episode. So the episode 4 revisited's done. You can find that on the torrents or at fanedit.org. So he put in this Easter egg. It's not in the movie, but you can watch it separately on the DVD, where they blow up Alderaan, and then it goes onto the surface, and you see it like exploding, and then there's like Jar Jar running up, and it like it just blows up the planet. You're like, that's funny. That would have been a great Easter egg. I mean, I'm glad it's not there because it totally ruins the
It
tragedy
ruins
of
the
the moment.
but
But yeah, it is. It
you
is
know, and then
funny.
there was that edited scene where Obi-Wan's like, it's as if a million voices cried out, except for that one retarded one. I don't know.
Oh, okay, Rich. You said that. I didn't say that. Moving forward, so we should definitely get back together. Oh, I wanted to get your thoughts. So, what do you think about Thrawn coming back officially into Star Wars canon?
Um, well, okay. Let me give the short of it.
I
I love
haven't seen the
Thrawn.
cartoon, so I cut
You
you
haven't
off.
seen it?
No, I haven't
Okay,
seen the
well,
cartoon yet.
okay. I was really pissed that they brought Darth Maul back, and I thought I was going to be angry that they would bring Thrawn back, but I'm so fucking excited that they did, because it means they can add him to, like, say, for example, episode 8 and 9, if they wanted to. But why so far back? Like he's going to be like,
I know. Look,
you
in
know,
my perfect world, he would have been the guy running the Empire in Episode 7. Not an
yep,
adaptation of the books. Not an adaptation of the books. You could have had the
no,
same
no.
Kylo Ren thing, just Thrawn starting a new sect of Sith guys that aren't bound by a Sith leader. You know what I mean? Just behind a
No,
cause of creating a new order.
dude,
And
okay,
not
I
even Sith,
love,
starting a new Knights of Ren or whatever. Like I have a whole thing I want to do. Where I'm going to start this whole thing where we talk about what I would do if I had unlimited power to go back and redo something. Like here's what I thought episode 7, given what they've already done. But that being said, we are getting like the whole reason why I haven't been able to get into the books is because Thrawn didn't exist. And for me, like I didn't know. I mean, I always liked Sherlock Holmes, but I didn't get into Sherlock Holmes until after Thrawn. It's weird, right?
yeah,
And
no, that's perfectly normal, actually. I think it is, but like I don't know, dude. I love Zahn's writing, but there's so much in those books that
But Zahn is
you
writing the
can't
Thrawn
just
book.
yeah, but you just can't translate exactly. I mean, if he took those books and translated them into movies, I'm sure they would be good because he would know how to break them down and
Yeah, I don't
show
want
what
an
needs to be
adaptation of those books
shown.
as a film. There's a lot of downtime in the books, and there's characters I don't give a shit about, and
Yeah.
just it's like Luke stuck in an X-wing for a book and a half. Like we don't, in space, it's not, there's a lot not cinematic. That being said, the idea of just the military being the Imperials being ran by an alien, and it would be cool. But we don't get that. But what we do have is the fact that Thrawn does actually exist, which makes me wonder: is it possible that Amara Jade could show up at some point, or has already, and we just don't know?
Well, that's the thing, dude. Like they haven't mentioned her at all, so I don't know if that's actually something they would do. But I mean, they could since they've
Hmm,
done
hmm, hmm.
Thrawn. Look, everybody says they just discontinued the EU and they said fuck it all. No, they didn't. Disney's not that stupid. What they said was, this is not as important to us, so they can do their own thing, but don't think for 1 second they're not going to pull ideas from that.
Yeah,
I
they haven't had
guarantee
a
it.
book for me yet that is at the level of a Timothy Zahn or a Michael J.
Yeah,
Stackpole or an A.C. Crispin. A.C.
or
Crispin's
Anderson.
Han Solo trilogy that she actually did a Han Solo prequel, like from when he was born up till Episode 4. Those books were great. And
Yeah,
I've read Bloodlines, and they're fine. It's just I feel like with Bloodlines and a lot of the books are coming out, like the plots of those books, the entire plots of the books would have been the first three chapters in a Zahn book.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they take an idea and they just stretch it out across a whole book. Whereas before you used to get it like that's the setup. Like the end of Bloodlines would have been just the setup for like in a book back in the day. Now it's
Yeah.
like fuck. How much did how did it take that long to do this little? It's like when Brian Michael Bendis started writing comic books at Marvel and like
Yeah.
whole issues just to be Spider-Man just walking out the door. It was like
Yeah.
22 pages and they just didn't even leave the room. They just fucking go out the door and they're like, "This is 13 issues," and I'm like, "Well, no shit, because
You
he didn't do
stretched
anything."
13 issues from him leaving the door, going and doing one thing and coming back.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. Um, is there anything else you want to say about the trailer, though, man? You want to wrap it up? You got some anything else you want to add?
I hope. Well, you know what? I love the trailer. I thought it was great. I love the music. I love the visuals. It's gritty, and I'm hoping that the whole film, from start to finish, is good. I hope they do Vader justice in the film. That's the biggest in the film itself. But as far as the trailer goes, I thought it was powerful. It kind of it throws you in the moment, and the music really helps. And if they can bring that level of power with the music in the whole movie, I think this will be a great film, no doubt about it. I think it's going to be a decent film anyway, and you can quote me on that if you. I'm not. I don't think it's going to be the end all be all because I don't want to say that and then have it totally be shit. But like, I think it's going to be a good film.
Looking forward to the score. They got Michael Giacchino is going to be doing the score.
Yeah.
With Vader, yeah, he definitely looks intimidating. Love that shot of him coming out the smoke.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, there was a short little film they used to play on Cinemax. It was a short film. I don't remember the name of it, but it's about this kid who was on the subway and he falls asleep and he sees Darth Vader. Like Darth Vader, this
Yep.
door's open, Darth Vader, and I know like that was something that Lucas let happen. Like that was a real. I used to think that was like something I made up in my head. Like did I fucking dream that this little kid was fucking running in from like Darth Vader, but I know that was real. I read about it a while back. Can't remember what. And that Vader was more intimidating in that little short than the other stuff. So,
You mean like episode any? Like,
no, just gotta, you just gotta breathe, you know, just gotta
no.
breathe and be like, let's just, the
Lord
movies are
Vader
okay, they're getting there.
died.
Can we work on Battlefront? Can we make it so we don't need tokens and apps to play this fucking game? Can we just,
Yeah. Well,
you know?
bastards.
Yeah. Or can they reskin all of Battlefront? Can they reskin all of it with Family Guy and cell shade it? Just so like then I'll play it, you know?
Like, hey, Brian, I'm gonna shoot you in your face.
Yeah, like, that would be hilarious. All right, Rich, man, that's about it. So, you're gonna join me hopefully tomorrow night to talk about Star Wars, Nintendo, right? Maybe.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
tomorrow night. I've got to do karaoke, dude.
Oh no, that's all right. We'll have you on next week.
Cool.
All right.
Also, what about the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 trailer?
We'll talk about that again some other time. I just want to talk about Star Wars right now, but
Cool.
it was dope. All of it was dope. Lots of good stuff going on right now. No major fuck ups in the geekosphere. Can't talk about politics, but we don't go there. We just talk about geek shit. All right. we just talk about the real Imperials and the rebels and the people who make it and whether or not they're gonna fuck up Thrawn. But I'm going to actually
I hope
sit through this fucking Rebels cartoon just because of Thrawn. So
you should, dude. It's actually not too bad.
I know you say that, and you know,
No, it really isn't bad.
I'm
I honestly thought it was gonna be shit because of Clone Wars, and so like it's
everyone told
actually
me how great
decent.
that was, and I tried. I kept
It's
skipping
horrible,
seasons
dude.
trying to
Oh my
find
god,
something.
dude.
You know,
Clone
so.
Wars is fucking horrible. I'm sorry, dude, but just
All
garbage.
right, we'll get into all that later. So let's talk. Let's talk soon, ish, and we'll get together again. We will definitely be reconvening for Star Wars after December 16th, if not that day or the day after. How about that? Let's mark it Red Letter Day. How about that? All right, Rich. Where can people find you on the internet?
You can actually find me on Facebook. I'm partnering up with a friend of mine who's another hardcore Star Wars geek, and we have a Facebook page called Mara Jade and Grand Admiral Thrawn in Star Wars Episodes 7, 8, and 9. You can find me there, and
Nifty.
I used
Give
to
me a link.
have
I'll put it below.
I used to have upskirtwonderwoman.com, but I that was only a promo thing.
Oh, I have a feeling that'll be returning. I told
I hope
Brandon,
so.
I'm like, no, he actually got that, and he put pictures of Gal Gadot on there. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, he's committed. He believes in the Force. Strong with the.
But don't worry, man. I'm gonna put it up there. I put that link up there in Skype for you.
All right,
And
everybody.
yeah, I'm gonna put upskirt Wonder Woman because Justice League, it looks pretty good. Not,
Yeah,
but
and give me 5 or 10 minutes, folks. I'll be back on. I got to do a Copic color guide for Diablo before I get to sleep, and we got some other stuff to do too. So, all right, Rich, thanks for hanging out. Rogue One, we love it so far. Please don't fuck it up. We will
yeah,
talk to you.
exactly.
We'll talk to you all soon. Say bye.
Bye.
Oh, that almost worked. Look at that. It got stuck. Look at that. Ah, there we go. Look, it's working. Da-da. Da-da-da-da. Finally worked. Be on in a minute, folks.